Hey, what's up? Today we're visiting 1981 to reload Carbon Copy. This is Denzel Washington's first big role, and even though I remember the premise, I'm not really sure I've ever actually watched it. So it may or may not be an actual reload. We'll check it out together. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button because it makes me happy, and let's reload Carbon Copy.
He was minding his own enlightening zone when them both came down. Something's wrong, all the movie knowledge gone, so he reloading the list. New brain, who dis?
Yeah, so we're in the 80s. And we open up in Bel Air or something, where this super rich guy named Walter has a tragic life. With an awful wife and a terrible stepdaughter. It looks hard to be rich.
Committed a
I don't
moral
think I'd
crime
like
this
it.
morning, Vivian!
That's not true. He's a big shot at his company, but he has no control over his life, partially because all of his money comes from his father-in-law, who is also his boss. To put it in perspective, his wife calls her dad to tell on him anytime he tries to get intimate.
My daughter was in tears when she called me.
One day, he gets a visitor at his office.
I don't know Roger Porter.
My man. And Roger Porter, that's probably the last time I'll call him that, is the son of Walter's old girlfriend, Lorraine. He's also Walter's surprise son.
Hi, Daddy.
He probably looks more like his mom. Walter's rich, so the very first thing he does is run to his lawyer.
Your son?
And damn, the 80s were so badass that people would smoke joints at work and blow the smoke right in their customers' faces. I'm your manager, B.
Late. Oh, come off it. You're not.
Walter tells the lawyer that he lived with Lorraine for 3 years back in college, but then his boss basically threatened to fire him if he didn't leave her.
Tell her that
Not
getting
basically.
married at the
They're
moment
pretty
would
clear about it.
not be practical.
He also made him change his Jewish-sounding last name.
From Weisenthal to Whitney.
So Walter thinks he's going to hide a whole black son. Good luck, sir. Denzel looks to be having some fun at old Dad's expense, too. Oh, and by the way, Dad does not want to be called
What
Dad.
am I supposed to call you?
Well, I don't know. Whitey, Honky, Mr. Charlie, anything but not Dad.
Mr. Charlie.
Originally, I thought Denzel
Has a
chose
certain
the only
dignity.
non-slur on the list,
Makes me still feel
but
like
it
your
turns
son.
out this
Flesh
was
of your
also a
flesh,
slur,
blood of your
and he was
blood.
basically just
Mistake
saying
of
the
my
same thing
mistakes.
3
You'll
different
feel
ways.
different after you adopt me.
Denzel tells him
Adopt
Walter
you?
is going to have to officially
I'm
adopt
17.
him since
Time
he's
I
still a
became
minor.
legal.
No way, no
And
how.
Walter comes up with a foolproof scheme for adopting Denzel officially without telling his wife it's his real son.
Take in a colored orphan? for
They're just
summer?
going to
It's
sponsor
Marianne
him
more
or
than you like
something
me.
Far,
first.
far more, and I'm not
Yo,
very fond
look at
of
this
her.
phone. My man
stop
puts
playing
a
with that
whole
telephone?
keyboard up to his ear.
I don't go to high
Anyway,
school.
Walter takes
You'll
him
give
home
him
to meet the
remedial
family,
schooling.
and
For the summer?
Denzel makes an impression right
Have
away.
you ever been arrested?
Yes, little sister. I've been busted by the pigs.
And Walter's crazy plan is actually kind of
I'm
working,
ready to take
but he
Roger
can't
into
keep
our
his
home.
cool when his
Discussed
wife
all
wants to
that,
vote on
Walter.
adopting
never
Denzel,
agreed to
and
a
he
vote.
snatches
It's our
defeat
decision, just
from
yours
the
and
jaws of
Please,
victory.
Walter, I don't want to argue the point.
I didn't take a vote when I adopted Marianne.
Yes, Walter, if he were your son, of course.
Roger is my son.
Now what are you going to
Vivian,
do?
maybe he'll be pleased. Maybe God is black.
Oh, I don't think that's gonna help.
Burn in hell for saying that, Walter.
Yeah, so they're scandalized. The doctor straight up tells him he'll murder him if he ends up in his OR.
advise you not to get sick in San Marino, Mr. Whitney.
And the priest is all kinds of messed up.
on God's color, Walter.
It's
If God is
it's
white,
pretty
it's
funny.
simple logic. I'll pray for you, Walter.
The father-in-law realizes he's been too subtle and just says the quiet part out loud.
The wind blows white, not black. Blows Whitney, not Weisenthal.
I ain't even mad because I already knew that.
You must not legally recognize.
So things don't get better for him when he gets to work, and you can tell he was a dick boss because his former employees give zero craps about his feelings. This guy's over here singing and stuff. Even the pothead lawyer guy knows to get out of Dodge.
Still your dearest friend, but no longer your lawyer.
They're friends, though, so he recommends a lawyer. It's a black guy, that's the funny thing.
You're not gonna get away with this. I'm gonna fight.
And he explains to him that he's completely broke.
You mean
And everyone's showing a real lack of sympathy for his plight.
Irritate me.
I could just see everybody
So
saying,
they have
"You
to
don't
stay
look
at a
like
cheap
you ran
motel,
across, struck
and
down by
Walter
the
goes for a walk.
Here you go. There you go.
And he sees these guys trying to knock this basketball rim down, and he gets an idea.
Want to play a game, you and your son against me and my son?
So this is another joke about his ignorance, and you definitely shouldn't make assumptions. But come on,
Take it out first.
I would have taken this bet even if his son had shown up on crutches. These guys were losing a 2-on-2 before anyone else was on the court. But our team doesn't win. So they're down $5 more. And it turns out Denzel has a car, and that was funny. I don't know. The car doesn't actually matter. I just wanted that in here. This, too. It's funny. But they're down to 85 cents now, so Walter has to get a job as a laborer. It's hard, though, because he looks like a straight psychopath dressed like this to do construction. Ignoring these kinds of signs is exactly how you get serial killed. But this brave soul decides to take a chance on him, and Walter dies shoveling horse manure. He's not actually dead, but that is what's on his shirt. And Denzel finds them a new place to live, and it's terrible, of course. And they kind of fight, and Denzel leaves, so dude starts playing the ukulele or something. And this next part legit startled the hell out of me. Really, I didn't expect jump scares in this movie, but they appeared like that, and it creeped me out. Anyway, they tell him they're sorry for doing a racism, and tell him he's welcome back. Minus Denzel, I'm sure. Right after they leave, Denzel runs in, telling him he was racially profiled, which isn't at all funny. But they do manage to squeeze a joke out at the end. The cops don't even know what to do with this, but they eventually decide to just arrest him and figure it out later. So Walter gets arrested, and when Denzel comes to see him, he tells him that he never really wanted anything other than to meet his dad in the first place. And it's a sweet scene. No jokes. I just wanted to say Denzel was a beast from day one. He's super dope. And he gives Walter his blessing to go back to Uncle Phil's house.
You're going back to your family, Mr. Charlie.
And Walter does go back to his office, but it's mostly to tell his boss off.
Races of people to be born losers, and as the father of one,
it's a decent
I
enough
object.
scene.
Not that he was born with 2 strikes on him,
It's growth.
but that you won't give him a 3rd pitch to swing at.
And Walter decides to leave his rich life. He finds out that Denzel isn't a high school dropout after all, and he left at 16 because he graduated early, and he's a pre-med student. And Walter realizes he had race blinders on or something, and they decide to go back to Denzel's family together, and it's a really happy ending. It would have been happier if the in-laws had taken a bigger loss at the end, but this is probably more realistic. I'm sure they'll be fine. And that was Carbon Copy. Parts of it looked familiar, but most of it felt new to me. Not all of it would necessarily fly these days, but it was mostly a fun movie, and it seems to be well-meaning. What did you think of this? Let me know in the comments, and give this video a thumbs up if you agree that Denzel is one of the greatest of all time. And also, give it a thumbs up if you agree with any other opinion. Really, even if you just agree that there is a thumbs up button, do me a favor and tap that. Also, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be here for the next reload.
New brain, who dis?